All right. Hi, everybody. I think we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to kick us off and share my screen. Okay. So hello. Welcome to the Circuit for Teams webinar. And we'll just kick off with an agenda so everybody knows what we're going to cover in the next hour or so. So first, I'll introduce a little bit about Circuit so you know what we're all about. For those who are existing customers, we might be more familiar. For those who aren't, just a little introduction. Then we're going to meet Sagar from Shoot Delivery, a Circuit for Teams customer who's going to share a bit about their business and their use cases and how they use Circuit for Teams. And then we'll dive into a Q&A. So you can put any questions that you have in the chat here in Zoom. And I believe there's also a feature to upvote them. So you can also give some power to the ones that you find most interesting. And then we'll have a Q&A at the end to answer questions after we go through Sagar's use cases. So I'll just start with a little bit about myself. My name is Megan Murphy, and I'm the VP of Product here on Circuit for Teams. I joined about a year ago, and my team and I are the ones who figure out what to build, why, how can we best serve those in last mile. And a little bit about Circuit. So Circuit supported 1 billion deliveries in 2024. It's the first year that we hit and surpassed that mark. Just to put that into context, at the peak, we made about 110 deliveries per second. That's probably around the highest volume delivery moments of the year. We have 3 products that support this volume. So Circuit for Teams, which is a last mile management solution built mostly for courier companies. Circuit Route Planner, which is the go-to route planning app for individual delivery drivers. And then we have the Circuit Package Tracker, which provides real-time package tracking for those who are receiving their deliveries. We serve customers in over 190 countries around the world, and our driver app is localized into 19 languages to support this volume. Today, we're going to focus specifically on Circuit for Teams as it relates to last mile management. And Circuit for Teams supports 2,500 business customers, and we offer a suite of products to serve every part of that value chain. So our couriers tend to use the Dispatcher dashboard to plan and manage aspects of their last mile needs. Those of you familiar probably know the original hook has long been route optimization, but that's also expanded to include things that we'll hear more about today, like proof of delivery, notifications tracking, and more. All drivers added to Circuit for Teams can access the driver app on iOS and Android, which they use throughout their routes. Recipients can access real-time location information on the tracking page. And for clients and retailers, we have a client portal where they can actually upload their orders, check order status, and find proof of delivery images and signatures that go straight connected with the couriers who use Circuit for Teams. But today we are excited to host Sagar Bhat, the founder and owner of Shoot Delivery, a courier company based in Canada. And Sagar's been a Circuit for Team customer for 3 years. So I'll pass it over to him to tell you a bit more about Shoot Delivery.
Well, Megan, thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving us the platform to kind of, showcase our company. And, I'm kind of honored to be a part of this webinar series. So thank you so much to Circuit, to you, and the whole team behind this product. A little bit about ourselves. We are based out of Canada in Toronto, the biggest city, financial capital of Canada, as you can say. And we have this motto, if it can be delivered in a car, we will deliver it, right? So long as it's legal and easily deliverable, we can deliver those products. We are right now present in the southern part of Ontario, that's like Greater Toronto Area, Ottawa, Hamilton, Niagara, London, and Barrie. We also operate in parts of Quebec, that's Montreal. So we are starting to expand our geographical base. We have been in business for around 3 years. And what we essentially do is we provide last mile support for retailers. Essentially, there's businesses that need their goods to be delivered to their customers or the recipient's place. We do that for them. That's basically last mile delivery. Also, we help augment capacity for courier companies, essentially, especially when there's like peaks and they don't have enough capacity. we help, augment that for them. Uh, we employ over 450 drivers at this point, and all of them are contractors that work with us. And they're essentially drivers who usually do Uber or Skip the Dishes or DoorDash on a regular basis, but they're always looking for extra income. And our deliveries happen in uh, times that are not peak for these other delivery services like Uber and one-to-one delivery services. So that's where we, get a lot of drivers working with us. Um, Circuit has been a base of our operations, almost an operating system for our business. As a courier, we have delivered 450,000 packages, and right now we are almost delivering like 25,000 packages every month, which is like, again, thanks to Circuit, we are at like a very good success rate of 99.7% of successful, correct deliveries. So that's a little bit about Shoot. Um, so so Megan, do we have the next slide? Okay,
Yeah, I think now actually let's kick off and hear a little bit about the core use cases that you have that you've used
sure.
Circuit for Teams for.
Okay. So yeah, to give a little bit of background on how Circuit has helped us, right? So the first thing that I want to let everyone know here is that Circuit has been receptive to our pain points, right? They have, over a period of time, we have kind of communicated, we are facing these issues, and Circuit does come up with elegant solutions to these problems, which is like, why I would recommend anyone to use this product in the first place. So we can start with proof of delivery, right? So to set the baseline over here, right? So initially when we started, so we went in head first into this business, knowing little bit about last mile delivery, about how it's done. But as we kind of started diving in, we started facing issues, right? So uh, around COVID, I don't know if this is a phenomenon in other geographies, but in Canada, around COVID, a lot of people started ordering stuff at home, right? And a new generation of uh, people started coming in called as porch pirates, right? So people were, and as is the delivery custom over here in especially in Canada, when you usually drop the package outside the door, but porch pirates started coming and picking up these packages that were meant for the recipients, and that is when proof of delivery, right? The proof that the driver has delivered the product to the recipient became very important. Um, when we started operations and initially started using Circuit, we faced this issue when our drivers were sometimes forgetting to upload the proof of delivery, right? And we started getting a constant stream of complaints saying, you know, uh, we are not, we have not received the package. Sometimes, it was genuine. Sometimes it was, the customer trying to game the system, I guess. But we needed some like real proof of delivery. So what we would use is photos that was available on Circuit. Sometimes we would tell the drivers to click photos. So at one point, like around 2023, the complaints started increasing. So we had to kind of implement a fine system for the drivers if they forget to kind of, do that. And despite that, we were still getting complaints. So then that's when we came to Circuit and said, look, this is a problem that we have, and we need to solve this problem. So Circuit came up with a matrix of options to granularly manage proof of delivery.
So just one thing,
So
Sagar, before it's basically because within Circuit that you were using, um, the proof of delivery was basically optional, right? So drivers could just skip it
yes,
with no consequence was basically the main issue. And then if they did that, then you would find them. Is that right?
that's correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I forgot to
No, no, no,
mention that
no, just making
context.
sure.
But yeah, because we had the option of proof of delivery, but just the driver sometimes could be least bothered, right? I mean, sometimes there would be drivers, just coming in for a couple of deliveries, and they really did not face any consequence because of that, and that's why we asked Circuit to help us solve this problem. And so I'm going to be sharing my screen to kind of show you how we have configured it and what the use case is for us, right? And how it has basically led to right now like zero complaints because essentially we have enforced rules that are going to, make sure that the driver has the POD, or else the driver has to explain why they don't have the POD, right? And Megan, I would like you to demo that in a little bit, but let me
Sure.
show my settings first, right? So let me start by sharing my screen. Here we go. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, you're right. So these are some routes that are in progress, but let's dive right into the settings part over here. So before there was no proof of delivery, so they had, uh, I mean, Circuit, thank you for doing this. But yeah, so right now, so we have multiple ways in which the driver can deliver a package. They can either deliver to the recipient, deliver to third party, mailbox, and there's some other options which we have not because they don't apply to the way we operate. But so let's go through a couple of them, right? So we have delivered to recipient. Sometimes it so happened that the driver would deliver to a recipient and take a photo. And we have had complaints like, the customers were worried about their privacy because, the drivers ended up taking a photo of the customer along with the package, which is, sometimes it's not good because, and the driver sometimes does not realize that, that's the wrong thing. So when the driver delivers it to the recipient, so what we have done is we have essentially disabled the photo option, and it's a signature that is to be taken from the customer. Same with the third party. Now, sometimes there's someone who's related to a recipient who's around the delivery area. Let's say they're working in the garden or doing something like working on the lawn in front of the house, and they pick up the package on behalf of the customer. And that's when we say, we deliver it to a third party, or let's say we leave it at the neighbor's house. If the customer is not available, that's what delivered to third party is. Again, we have to take a signature. Photo is optional in this case. So it depends on the situation. But then there's other options like deliver to mailbox and leave it in a safe place. And for that, we have disabled the signature option because sometimes the driver didn't know what to do and they would leave a signature instead of the photo. So by having and the driver would sign his own name, so I don't know, it didn't make sense, but having these options like are really helpful now because we make sure that we guide the driver in the right direction by putting in these enforced rules. That being said, so I'm going to be sending a route to Megan, and we can here. So Megan, I think I can send a route to you,
Yep,
and
exactly. And then
yeah,
I'll
and
pick
and
up
then you can
this.
show us how you do that, and I can
Yes,
stop sharing my screen here now.
perfect. Okay, great. So I will now start sharing my screen. And with the hopes that this makes it easiest to follow along, I've got on the left-hand side the dispatcher dashboard that Sagar was just showing. He's kindly allowed me a role on his team temporarily in Circuit so that I can show what it looks like from the dispatcher point of view. And then I've got my device on the right-hand side connected to my phone right now. So I've just received the route that Sagar sent. So I'll go ahead and open that route. And I'm going to show you, starting this route, the different proof of delivery requirements that we have in place. So for each of these stops, we're gonna see a different like POD requirements because not only is it configurable generally across the whole account, setting the defaults like Sagar just described, but you can also customize this per setting within proof of delivery. So you can see that it's enabled, and then you can customize everything that he just shared for every single stop. So let's go ahead and start this route. And I'm going to start marking as delivered. And as you can see, if I do deliver to recipient here in the first stop, since the signature is required. It's mandatory when deliver to recipient is selected. Here I have to provide a signature. Okay, and I'll go ahead and submit that. Now I can see the signature appears here on the dashboard and the stop is marked as complete. I'll keep going on the second stop of this route where I have changed the settings to make the photo optional for a different delivery type, just so that you can see from the driver's point of view, if it's not mandatory, what the interface looks like. So I'll go ahead and mark this stop as delivered to a pickup point. And now you can see that it doesn't prompt me, it doesn't require me to add that photo. So I can just say, you know what, I'm not going to because that's optional. I'll go ahead and mark this as delivered so that it's as fast as possible. And now for this third stop, I've got proof of delivery turned off. So as a driver, when I go ahead and mark the stop as delivered, I'm not even prompted to do anything at all, and I can just complete the stop. So, so that's effectively how we are bringing the granularity of
One
proof of
more.
delivery to life. Sorry, please go ahead, Sagar.
If you could share your screen that you were just sharing, I just had
Oh,
one more
yeah,
point to be
sure.
added over there.
Yeah.
So as you can see, where it says delivered to the recipient, it says about 1 kilometer away. That is another feature I think that has helped us a lot when drivers were delivering to the wrong address. And once the dispatcher notices this, that it has been delivered away from the or the it has been marked away from the stop, that also helped us in reducing the error rates because that's when the dispatcher got in touch with the driver and said, hey, you're 500 meters, you're 100 meters away from the delivery spot. So make sure that it has been delivered to the correct address. So yeah, that's another feature that I would just, that just came to my mind.
No, it's a really good shout. And you know what, if we can remember that point in a like future perspective where the product's going, I also have more to share on where that'll go in the future.
Yep. All right. So then, sticking with the theme of settings, there was one more uh, bunch of settings that I would like to talk about. Again, this is kind of setting rules to modulate driver behavior. So uh, here's like the other issue that we used to face, right? So uh, initially, when we started using Circuit for Teams, Circuit uh, for Teams would allow the driver to make changes to the route, right? And honestly, I mean, some of them were intended changes, so the driver was aware of the change they were making. But inevitably, like, when the driver was the, making the deliveries and the phone was either in their hand or in their pocket, they would end up re-optimizing or adding stops to the route, which has led to a couple of like really bad days wherein one driver actually delivered every single box wrong, right? Every so like it was one of the most difficult days that we've had, and we've had to send like four drivers to retrieve all the packages, rearrange them, and redispatch them, right? So uh, Circuit came up with a solution for that, and there's other incidences like the driver would sometimes like let's say we offer next day delivery and the same day delivery as well, but for next day delivery usually we would create the routes today for tomorrow, right? And we would usually send the routes to the driver like late at night, so because if they have to start early, make sure they have the routes on time. The problem over here is that sometimes maybe the driver was, browsing their phone at midnight and they see that they get a notification that you have received a route and they are excited and they click on it and they start the route by mistake. And then there's no going back because what happens when you start a route is that every single recipient in that particular route will get a text message saying that your package is on the way. Your ETA is 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. And we had like emergency calls from our customers saying that the recipients are complaining, what the hell? You're not supposed to be sending messages at this time. So Circuit again helped us by, introducing this other set of options. So let me share my screen again. So, I can run you through those options as well. There we go. All right, so these set of options reside in the driver settings, and there's this permissions tab over here. And there's permissions where, we can have the driver manage what type of vehicle, what type of road that they use. We don't allow them to use any navigation app because, some addresses are wrong in like a lesser used app like Waze or something, and they would end up at the wrong location. We tend to use the internal Google Maps for Circuit, but yeah, what I wanted to get at is that that we have things like the drivers now cannot change anything except maybe add internal notes, because that's when we want drivers to add any notes for us or the dispatcher, right? Uh, so again, with these options coming in, we have now reduce those errors to zero, because one is that the driver also we have set the start time so the drivers can start the route just 1 hour early. So again, that is one thing I think Circuit, thank you for doing this and adding these settings to the product.
Great. Shall we see how that use case plays out for both in the dashboard and the app as
Absolutely.
well? Great.
Yeah. So will you be sharing the screen, Megan?
Why don't you go back to routes and
Okay,
then,
yeah, let me send that route to you.
perfect. Yes, that would be great. It's
Yeah,
the route
okay,
to
here we
you.
go. And yeah, as you can see, this route is starting at 10 p.m. So,
Right.
all right.
Okay, now I'll go ahead and pick up the screen share for everybody. Okay, so I have now just received this new route. And as a reminder, um, if you click here by the driver's name, you can see all of the details of the route. So we can see that the first stop is scheduled at 10 p.m. So if I open this route, since it is not 10 p.m. and not even an hour earlier, it's actually entirely disabled. So the route can only be started after 9 p.m. since Sagar configured it to start an hour early. So this is one of the changes that we made to help prevent accidental route starts and kick off those notifications. But I'll actually use this as an opportunity to share something else that's very fresh. It was just released, but only on our Pro plan right now. It's quite an advanced feature, which is to manage the message scheduling. So if you have message scheduling on at all hours, then ETA notifications, provided that the recipient's email address or phone number are entered per stop, then those ETA notifications will kick off whenever, and you can certainly solve the problem the way that Sagar showed, which is a very holistic, like, this is the kind of policy I want to set for my drivers to adhere to. But we've also just built this custom messaging hours, which allows you to set a time window during which notifications will be sent and configure that for either SMS or email to help ensure that recipients aren't disturbed at really funky hours. And so, so this is also something that we've just built, but again, it's a quite premium feature, so we've released that on our Pro plan. In fact, Sagar, I don't even know if you've had a chance to try that out yet, but it's available if you haven't.
Thank you. I'll have a look at that. I think that's going to be helpful as well for us.
Nice. Excellent. Well, I think with that in mind, then we can just pick up the presentation. I think you should see the deck now, the slide, right? Sagar, help me out here.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I can see.
thank you. Okay, so just to give a little summary of the proof of delivery use case, is essentially a before and after. So Sagar's clients and retailers required proof of delivery. Drivers weren't always capturing it. There wasn't a mechanism in place to make this really seamless for everybody, and disputes were a big problem. after Circuit for Teams it wasn't after using Circuit for Teams. It's, to be clear, it's after we built out the capability for more granular controls. Those settings would block drivers from continuing without providing the proof of delivery that was required. And so now Shoot Delivery has the POD it needs for all its clients, and there's fewer disputes, and those that exist are easier to resolve because there's evidence, there's proof in the pudding. The second use case we saw was for driver settings. So drivers accidentally started routes early. They accidentally re-optimized routes accidentally, and there were many, many instances of recipient complaints, over 30 of them. And now, after we've made this change, giving couriers the control over what their drivers can and cannot do, Shoot can now control when drivers start their routes, if they can or cannot re-optimize routes while they're in progress, and this has landed Shoot Delivery in 0 recipient complaints since that change. So pretty good outcomes from some small but high leverage settings that we've put in place to give couriers more control and flexibility. So that's it for the kind of topics that we wanted to cover today in detail. I would love to know if there's anything you would like to see featured in the next instance of our Circuit for Teams webinar. So if so, then there is a little poll that I'm going to share with you now, provided that Zoom makes that easy. Yes, okay, great. They have. So if you have a moment before we dive into any questions from this webinar, I would just love to know, what else you have on your mind for next time.
Well, I have a bunch of features that I think I can request, Megan, now
Why
that
why don't we take a minute for you to share like the top 3 things that Circuit for Teams needs to do in order to keep making your job easier?
Well, there was one feature that I think I have been bugging the team, that is allowing shippers to be able to upload stops on the client portal, which we have been starting to use. And thank you so much. I think you guys have just done it a couple of days back, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
we just exactly. So in that client portal I mentioned in the beginning, we just released the ability for, so essentially any Circuit for Teams customer can include their clients, whether that's retailers on whose behalf they do deliveries or any other type of client, invite them, and then that client can upload all their orders. Those flow straight into the courier's Circuit for Teams account, and they can be added to routes. We currently support doing that via a spreadsheet. Like the clients can upload their spreadsheets or add stops manually, but we're working on expanding the ways for that to happen because, of course, with different e-commerce and point of sale systems, that's needed for scale.
Yes. So that's the next thing. I'm hoping you guys will get Shopify integration soon.
Right.
I think the next part is, expanding the use cases on the client portal, because I see a lot of scope in our operations over there, right? Allowing customers to have Shopify integration, allowing customers to be, tracking the drivers. Right now, it's just, I think they can just track the deliveries, but that's again something that you guys can look at. Yeah. Uh, so
Great.
some other things that come to my mind are like label generation, scanning to deliver. Uh, I'm hoping we get this feature soon.
Okay, so essentially, instead of your clients needing to use their own barcodes and labels, you would want to be able to do that yourself
Yes.
for like a proof of custody. Okay.
Yeah. So once we own the whole value chain over here, what happens is it is easier for us to kind of package the delivery service. Like, it's a very easy to follow kind of, just do these 5 steps and your product will be delivered to your recipients, right? So that is one thing for sure, that's going to add value to our operations. Also, we can idiot proof this by, because let's face it, sometimes drivers do make mistake, right? So what we essentially are looking for is we own the whole logistics chain over here, when there's no scope for mistakes on any of the parties involved in this.
That makes sense. Thank you. Great. Okay, well, give us a little time to live up to all of that. I also see the poll was a really clean draw among all three. So vehicle type, how to set and effectively use this feature with your fleet. Um, the client portal, how to onboard clients and allow them to upload orders, and then how to customize and style the style and sending of the notifications. Okay, noted. Great. We can go through the questions submitted in the Q&A, and depending on how we're doing with time after we go through those, we can also, I would love to hear a little bit more about, the needs behind what was just upvoted in that poll. But let's kick it off first with the Q&A. So I think what I can do here is allow someone who submitted a question to speak and share it with us. So I see the first one that came in, Joshua Cherry. It should allow you to join and speak and share if you so choose, around does the 1 kilometer away have to be turned on?
Sorry, give me a second. I'm going back to my question because I forgot. Now I
Sure.
saw with the 1 kilometer away, is that something that has to be turned on, or is it now automatic with the update?
Yeah, so that is automatically turned on. It's on by default, and there isn't a way to turn that off. However, I would love to understand if that's something you need, then what's the reason behind that? Like, how would that help you?
Oh, no, no, no. I was just asking because I'm not the person that's out on the road. I'm normally the person that's delivering the message to our team, and it was just a random question. That's all.
Okay, no worries. Well, not yet customizable, so I'll keep an eye on that. But thank you for your question. Appreciate it.
Are you welcome?
All right. So next up, oh, we've got two anonymous questions. So I will go ahead and just read them out, and if anyone wants to claim them, then feel free. So can drivers start their route earlier than an hour before? So yes, the answer to that is yes, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So just give me a moment here. So let me share my screen. Great. Okay, so in the dashboard, if you go to settings, driver settings, routes created by dispatchers, and then route information, there is the ability to allow drivers to edit the start time. And if you have this off, then the driver can't change the start time, but they can start the route as early as you want. So you could put 4 hours early or 5 or 6. I don't know if we actually have a limitation on that, but you can customize this to whatever it is that you want that works best for your business. Uh, and yeah, and then as soon as that's effective, just one thing to mention, it'll be effective for all routes created after you change that setting. It won't retroactively apply to routes that you've already created, even if the driver hasn't started the route yet or completed the route. So make the change clean, and then create and start your subsequent routes, and you should see that that is applicable. Hopefully that answered the anonymous question. Okay, the next one we have is you add new things all the time. What's next? Okay, so what's coming next? Well, we have built out, speaking to Sagar's point about barcode scanning and label printing, we have built out the first couple of steps in barcode scanning. So the way that this works is essentially the dispatcher will upload a spreadsheet. They can do this via spreadsheet or via API right now, where they can include a barcode ID, alphanumeric ID, with each stop. Then the driver can create their routes by using a scanner from within the Circuit for Teams driver app and scan a barcode where the ID matches what was uploaded with that stop. Currently, what we support is the barcode scanning actions of add the stop to the driver's route and adding the scan to mark a delivery as failed or completed. What we're going to work on next is expanding this whole flow of milestones, if you will, to include allowing the driver to scan the barcode to add the package to their vehicle, and then also scanning to capture proof of delivery. So we're just elongating that that line of value, if you will. A couple other things that are coming down the pipeline. Let me see what I'm comfortable sharing that'll ship very soon. Something that will be impactful for a lot of our smaller customers is, especially smaller customers, is the ability to make some changes to the billing date, because we recognize that couriers have, depending on the month and what it holds, cash flow can become a challenge. So actually we can allow users to choose, if you signed up for Circuit and you get billed on the 8th, but you want to change that to the 1st or the 15th, then you can do that. The ability to request yourself a payment extension in extenuating circumstances, just making it easier, given the variability in cash flow, things like that. We don't want to just build features that are about the operation itself. We also want to build something that takes into account the business and the state of the business for the customers that we serve. So that's in line with that. And then I would say on a much bigger scope, something that's coming is the ability to view all the default settings that you have that you have across your account. You can see them when you are creating and managing your routes. So, for example, the example that we just had was perfect. If Sagar's setting is that drivers can start their route up to 1 hour early, we're going to make things like that visible when you're looking at the routes, so that in case your driver starts the route an hour early and you forgot that was possible, then it'll tell you and you'll know exactly why and hopefully troubleshoot much better. So we're trying to bring visibility to all of the different settings, controls, and policies that we have. There are many. They are not always the easiest to find, so we want to make them a lot more discoverable to show just how powerful the product can be for you. Those are some highlights of what's coming in the very short term. Great. We've got another one from Russell. Would you like to share about your question? I've just invited you to speak if you're open to that.
Yeah. So it will help big time if when the notification gets sent to the client and there's a code that gets generated, three digit code, and when the driver gets there, he just needs to, the customer must just give him the code. So now you confirm this is, and the driver doesn't know what the code is. So he needs to capture the code into his device, and the system will say, that's fine. That's the correct one. Hand over the parcel. Because even with signatures in that week, they can still give off the wrong parcel. Someone will say, no, it is mine and it isn't theirs. So the fight where you between the clients and the drivers and things like that, I also have it. The same way he has it, I have it. As to the client says he didn't get it, I need to go look at the tracker, I need to go see where he was, I need to go see previous orders to that address, who was the person. But if we have a simple code going with a notification, that will allow it when the driver gets there and he says, right, he's hereby stopped. And then it will, when he says delivered, it will ask him for the code. And then once the customer gives the code, then you can confirm, no, but this is the right customer because it went to that customer's phone number or email address. I mean, is there something like that that we can look at in future?
Yes, thank you
I
very
would like
much.
to
Oh,
add to that, that's a really good feature, Russell. I think, especially when we are delivering sensitive documents like passports or, things like that, or even like sometimes in Ontario, if someone orders, let's say, tobacco or alcohol, that has to be handed to the person that delivered it. An OTP, I think that's what you're getting at, one-time password,
Yes.
which is like a 5, 7, 4-digit number that you give it to a driver so that the driver knows that he's delivering it to that exact person, right? So I think that's a really good feature. Just wanted to add
Because
that.
even if it's not the client had to give it to the person that's
Yeah,
collecting the parcel. So
yeah,
you can't
yeah.
go wrong.
You
There's
can't go
no way
wrong.
you
Yeah,
can go.
absolutely. That's a great one, Russell. I think, yeah. Megan, when are we getting that?
Yeah, well, it is. So thankfully, thank you for, first of all, Russell, for your question. And it is on the radar for sure. So we talked today about the granularity of controls that that exist in terms of, let's say, the strictness of enforcing POD, whether it's a photo or a signature. Where proof of delivery is going, let's say in the next, I would say 6 to 12 months, is expanding the types of proof of delivery we support, which includes what you just described, one-time PIN. So PIN matching, exactly as you described it, and also things like identity verification, which Sagar, you alluded to. So for example, if somebody needs their identity document checked in order to receive something and the driver needs to do that, those two are areas where we intend to expand proof of delivery. We currently have a lot of other things going on right now in the pipeline. So that'll be, a scope of work that we start this year, but we absolutely intend to expand proof of delivery to cover what you're describing.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. So the next question that we have here is, these are anonymous, so I'm not sure who shared this one, but in terms of Sagar's business model, how/what app does he use for the backend invoicing process and driver payments? So Sagar, you definitely need to take that, not me.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's two parts to this, right? So invoicing happens through our through QuickBooks, essentially, right? So we send out invoices through QuickBooks, and for driver payments, we have automated it using Wise. Wise is an app that helps in cross-border transactions, but essentially it's very easy to automate using Zapier. So we use Wise to do our payments to our drivers, and unfortunately, right now the invoicing part is manual. So we are invoicing, we have like an accountant who will invoice them through QuickBooks. It's not a high-tech solution, but it's a solution that works, foolproof. And we have been using it for more than a year now, this duo of applications.
Great. I hope that answers sufficiently.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, next one. Future developments, short codes for Australia, New Zealand cell phones to allow us full utilization of Circuit for Teams benefits. Is there any scope for this in the future? Okay, so this one is tricky because Australia and New Zealand are among a long and growing list of countries where the restrictions around sending notifications on another business's behalf are becoming stricter and stricter. And by the way, for good reason, not that this is a political conversation, but it's just something we have to contend with because that's a shifting approach that a lot of countries are taking. Something we have just built recently is that you can create a custom alphanumeric sender ID instead of the circuit sender ID. So I'll go ahead and I'll go, very off script and show you things that haven't been communicated because, it's a special audience and we're sharing this time together now to learn about Circuit for Teams. So here we go. Okay, so I am right back just to navigate so that everybody can follow along. I'm in settings, recipient notifications, and also newly released on our Pro plan is this ability to use a custom sender name instead of Circuit. So as you know, for SMS notifications, all notifications have historically come from Circuit. Those don't always deliver perfectly due to the country restrictions or the local recipient's phone company, their carrier, filtering out messages from unknown alphanumeric IDs and phone numbers. And so now what we've built is the ability to make this, for example, shoot delivery. And now, well, that's a problem. So we'll have to look into that.
Yeah, well, we can have it shoot DLVRY or something like that, you know.
There we
This is
go.
something
Yeah.
this is something new for me as well. Thank you, Megan. I did not know about this.
Yeah,
Thank you.
this was
Yeah, this is
just
helpful.
just barely released. And so this is now possible, but only certain countries support this. I know that Australia is not one of them. I presume New Zealand is not either. And in order to make these changes, basically send notifications reliably from countries with increasing strictness, what we need to do is then have our customers go through multi-document process to basically provide like their business registration, their letter of authorization, giving us the authority to send messages on behalf. And so what we're trying to do is just figure out how to make this something that will work for customers everywhere, because doing it in over 190 different jurisdictions is something that we would need a full-time team to do that alone, which is not really on the table for us. We are a very lean, decidedly lean team. So it's something that we hope we can do. Sorry, give me 1 second. Yeah, I have a toddler and she wanted to be on the webinar. Sorry about that. Okay. So we want to be able to solve this for customers everywhere, Australia and New Zealand included. What we don't want to do is have to go through a very custom solution for every single country. We want to do something that scales. Right now, we're trying to figure out what that is that's legal and compliant everywhere. So please stay tuned. Thank you for the question. Next up, we are a medical company. Is Circuit able to be HIPAA compliant? Right now, the majority of our customer base doesn't require HIPAA compliance, so it's not something that we are actively working toward. However, we have taken steps for example, ISO certification, and so we have meaningful things in place and decisions made about how we build and how we store data and so forth that are showing progress toward certain certifications. HIPAA isn't something that we focused on because the majority of our customers are not medical, but I would love to understand more about what it is exactly that you need. So in case maybe there's a way that we can follow up here and provide some contact information so we can get in touch directly to figure out what it is that you transport and what kind of compliance it is that you need, if there's only certain parts or if it's the whole the entirety of HIPAA compliance. Okay, lastly, manual invoicing. Circuit, do you have any advancements planned in future to integrate some invoicing? Okay, so here, yes, we do have plans. They are in the future, probably about a year out. I think honesty is the best policy. Sagar, I noticed you unmuted. Do you want to share something about manual invoicing too?
Well, I was just going to add that, one year is a lot of time.
Yeah, it is. I know.
We'll manage.
I think what I need to understand more is what are the steps we can take that we can already release that are on the right track. So, for example, right now we have the ability to export data, like export a monthly report that contains mileage or stop data and things like that. So I think we can certainly take meaningful steps towards something that's broader and more full scale. I would love to understand from whoever shared this question and from you as well, of course, Sagar, what are those steps that we could take? For example, could we make the export way more valuable? And then that would just cut off a lot of time and energy required to do those invoices.
Well, how we do it is we do it from the exports, right? So that is just what that's a process that we follow. We take the exports and we have certain pivot charts or pivot tables that kind of give you what has to be invoiced for which customer. So we have that set up. Now, that being said, I think there's always scope for doing this in the Circuit client, web client. That's CFT web client, wherein you can probably. And now this is just again I'm just bouncing thoughts of the VP of product over here, right? So, uh, yeah, I mean, if we can move that to the client, I think that'd be like really helpful. But what exists right now, it's working. It's not broken. It's good. But yeah, that's all that I have to kind of add.
I think the kind of changes that we could certainly make much sooner are, for example, including the client ID in the export.
Right.
We could certainly, like, I know that there's a ton of different ways to pay drivers, whether it's per kilometer, per hour, per successful delivery, per attempted delivery. And so I think what we can do is make the exports a lot more suited to the cost model of each Circuit for Teams customer. That
Right.
feels a lot more feasible than maybe something more robust that I had in mind that would take us a long time to build up to. So yeah, I'm keen to hear this. If you share, just for anybody out there, if you share feedback with us in that little chat button on the right of the screen that looks like a little, well, it's a little intercom chat. If you share the kind of feedback with us of what you're looking for, there is like a 99% chance that I see it, because our whole support team directs customers' feedback about product features directly to me. And so I'm on that chat every single day, reading input from customers, trying to understand their needs. So I invite all of you to please utilize that. It's not like it goes to some fake chatbot somewhere. It's not. It's going to our team, and it's usually coming to me if it's specifically about a feature request. So thank you everybody so much for joining and for your valuable time. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. And of course, thank you so much, Sagar, for
There's
talking to
one
us today.
more thing
Oh,
in
tell
the
me.
Q&A.
It just came up. Okay,
Yeah.
we have a few more
Sorry.
minutes. No worries.
Yeah, 4 minutes.
Another anonymous one. We are currently using automations from Circuit, though, through to Airtable, then through to Zero very laborious process. Okay, I think this is just elaborating on how the manual invoicing
Yeah.
is done, not necessarily the question itself. Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of
Take
your
care.
day. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.